Shalom brothers and sisters who have arrived here on this channel. We are at an extremely high watch time for us, for the church, right now and in a few days. It's a very high watch for us, but it may not be the Feast of Trumpets yet. And I will explain for you guys why this is so. So many watchmen, many church leaders, many people around the world, even the Jews, they are believing we are about to enter the first day of the 7th month, the month of Tishrei. However, that may be the first day of Elul, because I believe, and you will also agree with me very soon, that the Jews are 1 month in advance in their calendars, and you will understand this very shortly. So to begin this message here, I must literally show you guys the skies and ask a few questions. So let's go here and see the 12 constellations in the skies. So there are 12 constellations in the sky in which the sun, moon and the planets go through. So if you had to tell me which one mostly align or mostly portrays the Lamb of God who was slain for the sins of mankind, which constellations do you think it portrays the most for the symbol of the Lamb of God? So I believe that just like me, you would choose, or you would believe that Aries, it is the constellation that mostly portrays the Lamb of God, because the ram is a male lamb. So let's say that that's the first constellation in the skies. Now, another question. If you had to tell me which constellation in the sky mostly portrays judgment, which one would it be? Well, I guess that just like me as well, out of the 12 constellations, Libra would be the one that mostly portrays a symbol of judgment. So if Aries is the first constellation, then Libra would be the 7th constellation. Now, would it be all a coincidence for it to be like this? Because the sun takes 12 months to go through all of the constellations, leaving one constellation per month. And if the first month is Aries, then the 7th month is Libra. This is very interesting because for God, the first month was once the 7th month, and the 7th month was once the first month, until God changed it through Moses while he was instituting the Passover, which was the sacrifice of the lamb, who would be Jesus later on. But what is most interesting yet is that Passover always happens in the middle of a month, when the moon is full. And when the moon is always full, when it is diametrically opposed to the sun. So when the sun is in Aries, the first constellation, the full moon will always be in Libra, the 7th constellation. Hence, you could say that the blood of the lamb sacrificed on the full moon on the first month is being judged, and those who are covered by it are justified in one side of the scale, while those who are not covered by the blood of the lamb, they are unjustified in the other side of the scale. And I will show you guys this in Escalating. So let's go here to Escalating to show you guys how this is in our sky. So as you can see here, we have 12 constellations, and The 12 constellations are Aries, Taurus, then we have Gemini, Cancer, the fourth, the fifth Lion or Leo, the sixth Virgo, Virgin, the seventh constellation is Libra, the eighth Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricornus, Aquarius, Pisces, and then Aries again. This yellow line here is where the sun, the moon, and the planets go through every year, or they pass through this yellow line here, which is the ecliptic. So, Aries, the constellation that mostly portrays the Lamb of God. If that's the first constellation, the first month, then always Taurus is the second, Gemini the third, Cancer the fourth, Lion the fifth, Virgin the sixth, and Libra the seventh. So when the sun is to be here on the scales on Libra, that's the seventh constellation, that's the seventh month. So it is a perfect system that works for God and works for all of us, because the sky doesn't lie. The sky doesn't lie. So, by now, I guess you already realize that the Earth is like a giant clock because it functions like one. The Bible says that the enemy would have authority to change times and seasons, hence why, throughout the history, we had so many changes to the calendars. But you know, one thing that the enemy could never change is the clock in the skies. The clock in the skies, the Earth clock, it cannot be changed, because since Genesis, God is the one who made it work for signs, seasons, and appointed times, which he reserved for himself to deal with mankind. So that's why looking and understanding the clock in the sky is the most important thing that we believers can do. So I already showed you guys how does the clock in the skies work, and I'm gonna show you again, because we have a lot of confusion still in the body of the church with this. So the hour pointer is like the sun, which points the constellations in which we are, and the minute pointer is the moon, which goes through 1 month. Every month it goes for the 30 constellations, it goes through all the 12 constellations. So basically, for the first month and the 7th month, we go like this. So the moon goes through, gets full, and then goes back to being new moon again, and then we change a constellation, we change a pointer, we change the month. So that's how it works in this giant sky clock. So for the first month, the month of Aries, we know that Passover happens in the middle of the month when the moon is full. So it will be like this in the sky clock. As you can realize, the moon is always diametrically opposed to the sun when it is full. So it is always like this. So when the sun is pointing the first constellation, or has already passed the first constellation, the moon will be on or passing the 7th constellation, the constellation of the scales of Libra. So it is always like this. Now I'm gonna show you guys the stellarium, and then you guys can see and tell me if you think that we are about to enter the 7th month. So here we are, here in Stellarium. We are in Stellarium here, and the day is today, the 22nd of September. This is the constellation of Aries, and let's go find the sun. So we have the sun here in the constellation of the Virgin. The moon is right here at the constellation of Leo. Let me just change the hour here so it is easier for us to see. So here we are, seeing the sky right now. The sun is at the constellation of the Virgin, and the moon is at the constellation of the Lion. It's about to disappear here as they get closer to the sun. So let's go past a couple days here, and then the moon is invisible. We cannot see the moon because the moon is behind here the sun. And as we go a couple more days, the new moon is already visible in the sky on the 27th day of September 2022. So as you can see here, is this the month of the Lion? Is this the new month of the Virgin? Or is this the new month of the scales of Libra? Well, I guess that you can clearly see, can clearly tell me that the sun is pointing the Virgin. So this is the constellation of the Virgin. So if we go to the sky clock here, the sky clock is like this. The sun is pointing at the Virgin, while the moon will be with here in the Virgin. So they are both pointing on the 6th constellation, the constellation of the Virgin. Is this the 7th month or is this the 6th month? Let's go back here to Stellarium and look at the full moon. The full moon here on this new month that began or will start here on the 26th and 27th day of September this year. So let's go to the full moon here real quick. So look at the moon, we go until there is a full moon. Okay, the moon is 99.9% illuminated. The sun is still here in the constellation of the Virgin. Now let's go to see where is the full moon. So here it is, the full moon on the 9th of October 2022 will be on the constellation of Pisces. On the constellation of Pisces. Now let's go back here to the sky clock. And you can tell me here, is this the full moon of the constellation of the 7th month or the 6th month? What is the sky clock showing you guys right here? I believe, as you can see, that this clearly is the 6th month because the full moon is on Pisces and the sun is on the Virgin. Now, what would be the 7th month? The 7th month would be exactly the opposite thing of the 1st month, when the sun is on the 7th month on the scales and the moon is on Aries. So let's go back here to Stellarium and see what happened 1 month in advance. So let's go to November the 8th. The moon is full, as you can see here. Let me just go back a couple of hours so it's easier to see. We can see that on the 8th of November 2022, the full moon will be 100% illuminated on the constellation of Aries, and the sun will be precisely on the scales. So what the sun, moon and stars are showing us in this configuration, I believe that this clearly is the 7th month, the month of the scales, the 7th constellation, and the full moon pointing clearly where? At the constellation of Aries, the 1st constellation. So I believe it's very easy to see, to realize that the moment for the 7th month is not the moment when the Jews, the church, and a few watchmen, or most watchmen, are believing that we are entering right now. Because the sun, moon, and stars, they cannot lie, they cannot be changed. It is from God for us, and they are clearly pointing us something that is so simple to understand, that is this. When the sun is in one side, the full moon will always be exactly on the other side. So when the sun is on Aries, the full moon will always be on the scales, and we can go back here to Passover to see this here on the Stellarium app. So let's go back all the way there. Let's follow the sun here, focus on the sun, and let's go back when the sun is in Aries. So Gemini and Aries here. The sun is in Aries. Now let's go find the moon here. The moon is right here. Now let's go to the full moon when the sun is in Aries. Let's go up a few days. The sun, you can realize that the sun is crossing the constellation of the Lamb, but it's not a full moon yet. And here we have the full moon. Let's go back just a couple hours, and as you can see here, we have the sun going through the constellation of Aries, approaching the constellation of Taurus, the second constellation, but the moon is full, so it is not the beginning of the month, it's the middle of a month. And let's go see where the moon is. The moon is precisely on the scales. So as we can see here, the 16th of May 2022 is when the moon were in the scales. Here, and the sun was precisely going through the constellation of Aries, and we know that it became a blood moon. So it was Passover with a blood moon. The moon pointing the scales shows clearly that what is being judged is the blood of the Lamb. Those covered by it are in one side justified, and those not covered by it are in the other side not justified. I know that people have other interpretations for Passover being in April, and other justifications for trumpets being when the sun is in Virgin. However, I believe that this way of seeing the sky clock mostly portrays what is true, because the sun, the moon, and the stars cannot lie. So I believe, as you can see the clock, this is not the 7th month, this is not Tishrei, this is the 6th month, it's the month of the Virgin, the month of Elul, because not only the sun is pointing the Virgin, but also the moon will be, on the full moon, pointing Pisces. This, for us, it's significant because the Virgin is the bride and the Pisces are the fishes, the church. So this is very important for us as well. However, the month of Tishrei, the month of the scales, the month of Rosh Hashanah, the true Rosh Hashanah, will be 1 month after this month here of September. So let me just show you guys here, and I'm gonna go and take a zoom out so you can see the whole circle of the constellations, just like you saw there in the sky clock. So as you can see here, this is the first month the sun have gone through the constellation of Aries, and the moon is at the scales here, pointing what? Pointing first month, full moon. Now let's go back and go to the 9th month of September, and see what the Jews will be saying that is Feast of Trumpets. So the Jews believe this is Feast of Trumpets, and they believe that the full moon, this here, is Feast of Tabernacles, the full moon of the 7th month. So as you can see here, you can see that the Virgin is being pointed by the sun, and the moon is here in Pisces. Can this be the 7th month? I don't think this is the 7th month. Clearly, this is the 6th month because it's the 6th constellation since the Lamb, and even the moon is on Pisces, not on the Lamb. So how can you explain this being the 7th month if this is the 6th constellation and the 12th constellation, or the 1st constellation? So this is all wrong here, but I do understand those brothers and sisters who believe this is the 7th month, because the Jews, the church, and a lot of watchmen and watchwomen, they are believing that the Jews are correct in this thing. But let's go to the true full moon here on November, the full moon of November. 8th of November. This is when the sun clearly is at the scales here, and the moon is at the lamb. So both the highest, the brightest things in the skies, they are pointing two constellations, the seventh constellation and the first constellation. The moon pointing Aries and the sun pointing the scales. So this is clearly the seventh month because the sun points the month, and full moon on Aries. Just like we see here, like this. The sun pointing the seventh constellation, while the full moon pointing the first constellation. That's when we understand that that's the middle or the full moon of the seventh month. Not just like the Jews are saying for us. And that's very important for you to understand, because the whole earth, whole church, all of the Jews and most watchmen, they are following this calendar here from the Jews, who are saying that on the 26th, 27th, and 28th here of September will be the first, second, and third day, respectively, of Tishrei, the seventh month. And as you can see in the sky, I don't think that is it. However, I cannot deny that the news that we are receiving right now, they are very, very strong in the matter of the prophetic time, because we are seeing a lot of news pointing to a third world war, pointing to the great deception, pointing to the unification of the religions, pointing to a system that will financially govern the world, and pointing even to the peace with the Jews and the Islamic people, while the Persians, the Iran, is about to enter in a war against Israel. So every piece of information we are receiving right now is telling us that we are about to witness the beginning of the tribulation with the Antichrist in power. So we might actually be rescued by Jesus in the next few days, not because it is Rosh Hashanah as the Jews are believing, not because it is changing the Shemitah, not because it's changing the year for the Jews, but because we are seeing the news and the events escalate very quickly. As I can show you guys here on the calendar, I have a lot of news here. It is in Portuguese, unfortunately. It is a lot of work to make this in English, because each and every one of these links here have to be in English, but I can translate for you guys to understand, and I'm gonna just pass through the most important news here. But before I do this, let's go back and see that we are entering actually the first day of the month of Elul. The month of Elul, it is the 6th month, the month of the Virgin. When the Jews are saying it is the first of Tishrei, is actually the first of Elul. And I went to research about the month of Elul, and I found many important things happening in this month here. So as I searched for Elul here on the internet, and I searched for images, you will see with me here that the month of Elul already showed me a lot of things, in relevant things on the images, as you can see here. So Elul, for some reason, is pointing the wheat. I don't know why, because we are already out of the wheat period of time. So let me just show you guys here, because I remember to have shown you guys this graph here. I will quickly explain for you guys as well. So as we were expecting here, the most likely moment of time for us to expect a church rapture, a harvest of the wheat, which is the church, it is around here the end of the spring and the beginning of the summer, because we had foreshadowing portraying this event. We had the wheat harvest that shows the church. We had the feast of Shavuot, which is clearly a wedding happening. So foreshadowing on the story of Moses, the story of Noah, on the feasts, on the moment for harvesting, and on the summer, which is a summer harvest that we are expecting. All of this matches perfectly or better for a church harvest in this period of time. However, we just passed summer, so we are on the 22nd of September. We just entered the season of fall, of autumn, and that is something weird because I cannot explain why would the church harvest, the harvest of the wheat, happen here in the fall. Because as you can see here, wheat is all the way back in the beginning of the summer. By the start of this fall, the last few fruits are harvested. So it is a fruit harvest, not a wheat harvest. So I cannot explain why the church, which is the wheat, would be harvested here. Perhaps I'm wrong about the church being the wheat. Perhaps we are fruit and we are waiting on the last fruits to be harvested. I don't know. But I cannot explain this as well. Jesus in the sky will have to explain for us. Also, on the story of Moses, on the fall is when he came down the mountain and found the golden calf here before the fall. However, something interesting is that on the first day of Elul, so the first day of the 6th month here, which we are about to enter, and the Jews are calling it the first day of Tishrei, the 7th month, so they are 1 month ahead. On this day is when Moses went back into the mountain to ask for forgiveness for the golden calf, the Jews being in sin. So he ascended the mountain again on the first day of Elul, and that makes some sense for us because it is around the time for the harvesting of the oil, so the feast of new oil, and the church have the oil, the Holy Spirit. So it has something to do with the church here, as we understand that all of the feasts have some understanding, some things about the rapture on it. So this is the thing about the rapture on this moment of time. However, it does not explain why would it be harvested here on the fall. We understand that there were a spring rapture already, a spring harvesting for the Old Testament saints. Why would Jesus skip the summer and harvest the church on the fall and then go back to the summer? That doesn't seem ordained for me. This doesn't seem like the modus operandi for God. So I wouldn't understand why he would literally make the summer or skip summer and harvest on the fall. Perhaps he's harvesting here, the spring, then he will skip the middle, go here on the fall for the church, so church, Old Testament, and then in the middle he harvests everybody. I don't know, because wheat does apply to the tribulation saints, because the wheat has to go through a tribulation. So perhaps he is doing this way, but we don't know for sure. All we know is that the summer has passed and we are now watching the fall, the autumn. The fall feasts will actually happen on October and November, not on September, as the Jews are saying. However, the news are showing us a very big escalation in all of the situations for the tribulation to happen. So in here, we are right now at the end of the 5th month, the month of the lion, and almost in the beginning of the 6th month. And these are the confirmations here that we have for this period of time. So as I searched for Elul, I found this very interesting images here on the internet, which shows us the wheat. I don't know why, because we don't harvest wheat in this moment, in this fall. But as you can see, we see wheat, we see here the field of wheat and tares, we see more wheat, the king is in the field, as they are saying. We see trumpets here, showing in images for the month of Elul for some reason. So more trumpets. We see a bride showing up in some images here. And I went to check some websites here for the month of Elul. So this is the one, Elul, a time to prepare. And when a bride and a groom have planned the wedding day, they prepare. And so the month of preparing is the month of Elul, preparing for the high holidays. So this is the website here that show the bride. We also had this image here that I found it interesting. Elul, the king is in the field, where are you? So showing tares here, a field of tares. Most likely wheat is back there, so wheat and tares. And the king is in the field. I found it interesting. They are saying this on the month of Elul. I don't know why. Perhaps in this moment of time we can still harvest wheat in the beginning of the fall. I don't know. But I found it interesting here, and it kind of matches the moment of time we are entering. That is the beginning of the fall, in the month of the 6th month, the month of Virgin, the month of Elul. And here also on the first day of Elul, that's what they are talking about. So on the early morning of the 1st of Elul, on the year 2448 from creation, Moses ascended Mount Sinai, taking with him the stone tablets he had hewn by divine command, for God to reinscribe the 10 Commandments. On the mountain, God allowed Moses to see my back, but not my face. So on this moment of time in history, in Jewish history, that's when Moses ascended Mount Sinai and saw the back of God. So could this be that the church will ascend into the true Mount Sinai, on Mount of Heaven, on the New Jerusalem, and see God face to face on the 1st of Elul, when the Jews believe is the Feast of Trumpets? That could be the case for us here, because we are about to witness here this 1st of Elul, while the Jews believe it is the Feast of Trumpets. So it does make some sense, because Moses came back and went back to the mountain on this day, while the Jews are saying it is the 1st of Tishrei, the Feast of Trumpets. Now, let's show you guys the clock again. So, as you can see here, let me just put it here. The beginning of the fall always happens around here, the 6th month, the 6th constellation, which is the Virgin, the Virgo. So this also cannot be the 7th month. So fall is always beginning here before or right after the 6th month, the month when the sun is pointing Virgin. So right in the beginning of the fall, that's when Moses goes back into Mount Sinai and saw the back of God. Perhaps the church will go to heaven and onto New Jerusalem and see the face of God in this moment of time. That's a possibility. I'm not sure if it will be like this. However, it is a high watch time for us, just like it is a high watch time for most watchmen that believe we are in the 7th month. Most likely it is a high watchman for all of the Jews who are expecting their Messiah to appear on these high holidays for them 1 month in advance. Now, before I go here, let me see if I showed you guys everything I wanted to show about this period of time here. So yeah, although we passed summer, although we passed the harvest moon in the middle on the 11th day of September, which for us was a very high possibility, we are still here, so we understand that the rapture still will happen. We just cannot explain it fully as we wanted to. However, we are about to witness here a lot of things happening in these moments of time here, when the Jews are believing they are about to enter the Feast of Trumpets, the change of the Shemitah cycle. and a lot of stuff happening for them here. And you will see in the news that this also applies, because there are so many things happening, and you will see right here. So here on the calendar, I'm just take out this laser pointer. Okay, so on the calendar here, oh, let's go back, that's the previous video. So on the calendars, we have here a lot of news happening in September, and most news you already know, because you saw in some other channels, you saw around the internet, but I will point the most important ones, because these are a high watch for us because of this news. So Pope is warning the world because they are about or in the Third World War. So let me click here. I think it's easier if I just show you guys the news here and translate for you. So I use this website in Portuguese. It is very good because it gets all of the important prophetic news and points and lives in one website for me to use. So let me just change the language to English. Okay, let's see. Okay, Pope Francis warns risk of nuclear war and urges scientists to unite to achieve peace. So on the full moon of September, that's what Pope Francis said about the risk of nuclear war. Also in the same day, the UN was worried about nuclear war. So Guterres is deeply concerned over North Korea law on automatic nuclear strikes. So North Korea said that if they are attacked, they will automatically attack back with nuclear strikes. And the UN leader here is concerned about this. On the 7th day of September, Elon Musk said that it is pointless to buy Twitter because we are about to enter the Third World War. So it doesn't make sense to buy Twitter if we are going to enter Third World War. It seems like everybody in the elite, everybody in the high power or high position in the world, they already know that we are at or about to enter the World War III. The only people that still don't know this is the masses. The masses, the population, the most population doesn't understand that we are about, or we are on the Third World War already. But the elites already know this, and they are clearly saying, they are not hiding this from anybody, but people don't have an interest for this information anymore. So Elon Musk saying the Third World War, Pope saying the Third World War. What else? We had the Queen dying on his 70-year kingdom. So the Queen died in the United Kingdom. That's very significant for us as well. We had here more news for you guys. So we had religious leaders of the world getting together in a Congress of Religions. So we are seeing all of the religions coming together into one. And Pope Francis is right in the middle of this, and they are trying to promote the peace and safety in the world. So we see, as we see the Third World War forming, we also see the religions getting together, which is another confirmation for the Bible to happen. What else we are seeing here? So this is very important thing that appeared on the news. NASA the actors in NASA, they found organic matter that indicates life on Mars. So they just found, basically, they said that they found life on Mars. So what does this mean for us? This means that they are ready to present the great deception, the alien agenda, the alien deception that will deceive all of those that didn't have love for the truth, for the love of Christ. So they will be deceived with a grave deception, and this will be the aliens that will come here after the rapture to deceive the nations, to say that they were the creators, and remove the bad people from the earth. So they will deceive all of the nations, and they will serve the Antichrist. So the information is already here. They prepared for them. It is all prepared for they to present the alien agenda, the aliens, the deception. What else? We saw this here. This is very important, very significant for us, because 5 red heifers arrive in Israel. So from Texas, they brought 5 red heifers here in Israel for the purification sacrifice of the third temple. So before the Jews can build the third temple, they must sacrifice this red heifer for purification ceremony. So they must, a high priest must sacrifice this before the construction of the third temple, and 5 candidates went to Israel in September. I have more news about this. So here, just translate for you guys here. So 5 red heifers arrived in Israel. So 5 candidates for the sacrifice went to Israel in preparation for the ceremonial sacrifice for the purification of the third temple. So even on the Israel website, they are saying this. So this is a ritual law that Hashem has commanded. Instruct Israel to bring you a red cow without blemish, in which there is no defect and on which no yoke has been laid. So these are the red cows that will be sacrificed before the beginning of the third temple. So they are already in Israel, 5 candidates for them to use as this ceremonial sacrifice, this ritual. And this is very important because they believe that their Messiah, their high priest, their Messiah, will be the one to sacrifice those cows before the third temple to be built. So Israel here about to literally construct the third temple, which we know will be used by the Antichrist, and their Messiah will be the Antichrist for a period of time. Another news that is very important here: the actors in NASA mission prepares to crash into an asteroid. So they are preparing to crash for some reason into an asteroid to see what will happen, and they are planning this on the 26th of September, the first day of Elul for us. So the first day of Elul, when the Jews are calling the first day of Tishrei, the Feast of Trumpets for the Jews, the change and the Shemitah for them, that's when NASA will hit an asteroid. That's very interesting and suspicious as well. What else do I have here for you guys? So something also that is very interesting that is happening is that the Muslim nations move for peace with Israel in prophetic Ishmael and Isaac reconciliation. So at the same time that Israel is about to enter or about to go into a war against Persia, ancient Persia, which is Iran, At the same time, they are making peace with a lot of Muslim nations. This is so prophetic that even they know, they understand this. They are about to witness a peace for the one world religion, for their Messiah to appear, while still about to enter the Gog and Magog war against Iran, which is Persia and Russia. So many things happening here at this time. The points that the tribulation is about to happen for the whole body of the left behind people. What else do I have here? This is very significant as well. On the website of Israel, it is too late to prevent an Iranian nuke. So for them, yesterday they said it is too late to prevent Iran to have nuclear weapons. It's too late, which means, or translates for us, they will have to act soon before the bomb explodes. So, as I said, they are making peace with this Muslim nation. Also, in the same time, they are about to enter against a war with the Persians. So, because it's too late to prevent them to have a nuke. What else do I have here? Another very high information that proves that we are about to, or we are at the Third World War, is this. World War III is in full swing, says Belarusian parliament. So the elite, the governments already know that this is in progress. It hasn't been a full ride on, let's put it that way. However, it already began. The Pope says it, the elite, the Illuminati, George Soros said it, Elon Musk said it, the governments are saying, and they are literally telling us plainly that it is happening or is about to happen. But also, we have even more information here because yesterday you saw this Russian dictator. He said he summoned 300,000 reservists and make nuclear threat that is not a bluff. So he summoned 300,000 people to fight in the Ukrainian war. And why? Why he did this? Because his minister said that they are already facing the whole west or east, the whole west. So that's what his minister said. So Russian defense minister said, we are already fighting not only Ukraine but NATO and the West. So they are already saying this, that they are already fighting the West. That's why he also summoned 300,000 soldiers to fight in that war. People in Russia, they are already believing that they are in the Third World War because their sons, their husbands, they are already being summoned to fight in the war. Those who are denying it, they are either fleeing the country or they're being arrested by Russia. So this is very significant for us and shows us that right here in the end of September, in the beginning of the fall, right when the Jews are believing the Shemitah cycle finishes and a new Jewish year will come and the Feast of Trumpets will come also, that's when we are seeing an escalation for a Third World War to happen very soon. And what is China saying? China is already saying and ordering the Chinese army to prepare for military action. So they are already telling plainly that very soon, be prepared because there will be a military action for China as well. So there will be a Third World War. It is obvious that this is about to happen. And we know this as the sudden destruction. So as soon as the church leaves the earth, sudden destruction will happen, and I believe that will be bombs, that will be this third world war that they are scaling up for this moment. This will happen eventually, that it's about to happen already, and we know that we will leave this earth before the bombs goes away. So maybe in the next few days this happens, we don't know, but we know that we will be protected by God because he protects his bride. And we will leave this earth before the bombs go. Perhaps even our departure will be the thing that causes them to attack one another, because I believe our departure in the rapture of the church may bring a huge EMP for the whole world. So the whole world might have an EMP because of the coming of Christ in the clouds for us. So that could be the thing that starts the chain of events for the bombs to go, and North Korea attacks, China attacks, and everything happens because of this. And they are already prepared for a military action. And as you can see, the military things are escalating very quickly. What else here? We had this information that is very crucial for us as well. If Putin attacks Ukraine with nuclear weapons, US will destroy all Russian military bases in Crimea and on the Black Sea, says former European US Army commander. So a devastating attack. So, in other words, huge nuclear or bombs will go away as soon as Ukraine is attacked with nuclear tactical weapons. So it is cooking up here, the Third World War, and it's a very escalation here for us to see. And for us, it shows that we are about to leave this earth very soon. So I said this, they are already fighting NATO in the West on Ukraine, so they believe they are already doing this. What else do I have here? We have Israel accepting the division of Jerusalem. So the prime minister here, Lapid, wants the two-state solution, or the division of Jerusalem, to end the Palestinian conflict. So even Israel right now, they are wanting the two-state solutions, the division of Israel, and this is already a prophetic thing that won't be allowed to happen by God. What else do we have here? Couple last news here. Pope Francis and Mohammed bin Zayed, this is the guy, he's building the Abrahamic temple house in Emirates, United Emirates Arabs. They are building it and will be ready anytime. They both have now instituted Chrislam as the official one world religion at every level. This is information for the Gospel Network, because they are about to inaugurate the temple for the three Abrahamic religions, which is the Chrislam. So it is all in front of us for us to see. While this happens, Pope meets with a group of those people without Christian morals on the Vatican, so we can see that they are not with Christ here. So basically, to summarize here, what the news are showing us is that a third world war is cooking up, and it's escalating very quickly. NASA and the actors in NASA is preparing the Great Deception. The Pope with other religions, they are building up a one world religion. Israel is making peace with the Muslim nations. At the same time, he's about to get into a war with the Persians. And at the same time, they are preparing for the third temple with the red cows there. They are about to sacrifice. We see China about to enter in a huge war as well. We see threats of nuclear war. We see more shots about to be given to people in Brazil. Here they are trying to give for babies now. We see they saying that the new world order must come up with China and Russia. There we are seeing a change in the magnetic field as well. We're seeing UN, the European Union, about to witness a lack of energy, and everything, basically everything that we had to expect for the tribulation, it's already finished, it's already set, just waiting for the Antichrist to come and build things up. So the only thing that's left, that's missing, is the church to be raptured up to heaven, to be rescued and be out of here before all this goes into a bad way. Because every news, everything that we are saying here basically shows the sin of destruction, the great deception, the unification of the religions, one world monetary system, and Israel threats, Israel war, Gog and Magog, also the third temple. Everything that we are seeing and seeing on the news in September shows us clearly we're about to witness the beginning of the tribulation. But we as church, we as the bride of Christ, we will be leaving here before the Antichrist to come. We will be raptured out of this earth before the bombs goes away. And this is very important for us, and the watch times that we have right now for this are very high. So here we are right now on the 22nd of September. On the next few days, they are the last days for the month of Av for us, the month of the lion. So this could be it, right in the beginning, on the changing of seasons, the beginning of the fall. That could be when the rapture happens, all the way until the beginning of the month of Elul. That's when Moses ascended into Mount Sinai for the second time and saw God. That could be our ticket to heaven. So in the next few days here, very high watch times for us, although it is not the reason why the Jews are saying the Feast of Trumpets and high holidays. For us, it's not yet. However, it is significant for us as well, because for them it's significant, for the news it's significant, for the world it is significant, and for ourselves as well, for being the first of Elul, is very significant. So be ready and be watchful for the next few days, because they are very, very important for us. I cannot explain why would Jesus harvest the church here on the fall, but I guess he will explain for us there and show us why he made it this way. Because we are seeing the tribulation very near us, and we are seeing that we are about to live as well in this period of time, because we are still here. But we could have not been here. So because of how many situations we passed, we could already be out of here anytime. We could have been out of here anytime now. So from today, tomorrow, and the next few days, very high watch. Be ready. Be with oil, because we are about to witness the harvest of the church, the rapture of the church, anytime now. When the Jews are thinking it is the high holidays in September, we know it is not. However, it is also a high watch time for us. Be ready, be sober, be diligent, and tell people this if you can, because we are about to leave this earth very, very shortly. Thank you all for being here in this video, for watching, for being the church, for being here, brothers and sisters, with me. And I hope to see all of you very shortly in the sky very soon, because clearly we are seeing on the news that we are not far from it. Alright, Maranatha, brothers and sisters, come Jesus come, go Jesus go, as my brother said, and let's go. We're about to leave this earth very, very shortly. Maranatha. that we are not far from it. Alright? Maranatha, brothers and sisters, come, Jesus, come. Go, Jesus, go, as my brother said. And let's go. We're about to leave this earth very, very shortly. Maranatha.